Tonight, we're talking about the musical biopics that Hollywood, we think, still needs to make. With the recent release of Michael, we've also had Queen and Elvis and Elton John and Bob Dylan and even that Weird Al one that was kind of like a biopic, but kind of not. So tonight, we're each going to pick our top 3 musical biopics that we want to see. Not just the artists we like, but stories with drama and weird turns and big personalities and tragedy and triumph and probably at least one of those deeply questionable haircuts. So let us go ahead. Let's do our picks. So we are starting out. Oh, by the way, I'm Brody. That's Tudong Dylan. And that's Charlie. And this is Talk Talk Punch. So let's go ahead. You can see the order that we have right up there. It's going to start with me, and then it's going to go Dylan, and then it's going to go Charlie. So before we get started, guys, how you feeling about this? You feel good about this? Charlie, you love talking about music, so I know that you've been like itching for something like this.
I love talking music, and I have no idea what you guys are going to have on your list. It's rare that we come into one of these top 3s where I feel so completely blind to whatever you guys are going to put. So I'm really excited for tonight for a lot of reasons. But yeah, surprise me, boys. I can't wait.
Dylan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I what I did was I wanted to make sure that they weren't done before, even something that I've never heard of. So I made it very specific. I didn't just go with an artist. I made an artist and a piece of their art. Okay. Keep it nice and specific. Instead of their entire lives, I want to know how they got this done.
Yeah, I tried to stay away from anything that's in development because I picked a couple and then I looked it up and it's like, this is in development. Might start filming this year. And I was like, well, doggone it. So I didn't do any of that. But there might be some that like it's rumored to be in development for a long time. And I'm like, okay, that's not going anywhere. Speaking of which, my number 3 has been in development supposedly for a long time. Robotech? And I don't know. Robotech. And I don't know if we'll ever see it, at least until the Widow decides to not do anything. But that is Nirvana.
Oh,
I think Courtney Love has been supposedly working on a big biopic for a long time. Dave Grohl's been involved. She's like super protective over this, and it's her husband, so that's fine.
It's not her husband anymore.
Just the idea with
he died.
Nirvana, being in that early 90s, being kind of this underground thing, finding huge success and then really struggling with it. I think it would be a really sad movie. And so while I say I would like to see it, would I actually want to watch it? I don't know. It might be too sad. It would end so sadly. But I think that it would be a really interesting watch. And I think it would be really neat to see just that time period and ultimately like the huge impact that Nirvana had on music in those early 90s times. And just how these guys like didn't even really want the fame, but they got it, and then just having to deal with that, ultimately with Kurt Cobain taking his own life. But yeah, I was very surprised that there wasn't something like this already. And maybe we'll see it, but it seems right now Courtney Love kind of has things on lockdown, and it's going to be through her if we get any of it. So there is my number 3.
I do think that's a good pick. I mean, it's phenomenal music, but as time kind of passes, like I think we lose. Yeah, like our generations can remember the impact, but like as future generations come, they get to hear the music, but they don't get to know as much of like how revolutionary it was at the time, like how it impacted the landscape. And I think biopics are really great for that. Documentaries are wonderful, and there are Nirvana documentaries, but they don't capture the imagination of like a young person the way that a movie does.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and watched La Bamba with no idea how it was going to end.
Oh, I remember
that was horrible. Oh, yeah. What do you mean? He's dead? What do you mean? Let's do Diamond Phillips.
I had the same reaction to Young Guns 2. I was like, you're kidding me. He sees the spirit horse? What? He's not supposed to die there.
Can't kill Lou Diamond?
You don't ever kill Lou Diamond Phillips.
All right.
What do you got, Dill?
What's your number 3?
Interestingly, mine is also a group, but it's not just one. It's not just the band or what have you. I chose to get very specific. So go ahead and throw up my number 3. It is, I Want to See How the Smiths wrote and made How Soon Is Now, one of my favorite songs. And I heard that song was them kind of raging against commercialism. And then, of course, it was used in a commercial. So you've got Morrissey, you've got all of these individuals who are, if any of them are as emotional as Morrissey, it'll be a volatile. I don't know if there is any sort of a documentary on the Smiths, but I'd love to see. And they could, hey, you know what? I understand biopics. They change events around. Hey, this happened at this point, but instead it happened over here. All of that kind of stuff. And throw in when Morrissey left the Smiths and all that. But I love How Soon Is Now, and I'd love to see how they kind of came together to write that one song. I made mine very specific for songs just in case maybe there was something out, and I thought, I love this song. I want to hear about this song right here. If we get more based around that time period or however they want to do it, there you go. But one of my favorite songs of all time, and I'd love a biopic to see how it was done. And these folks are, from what I have read about them, very colorful, which would make a very interesting biopic. It's not a documentary. They're gonna change things around. It's fine.
Change things around. A little creative license.
Yeah. Sure. Creative license. That's the difference between a documentary and a biopic.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Good music. This would be fun. Like my number 3. I want. So real quick, my music biopic things. There's always like the posthumous living. I kind of feel like the artist should have the right to tell their story, but also it's kind of weird to make biopics about artists who are alive. Like, can you imagine if we had made a Michael biopic halfway through his career at the height, and then then things come out, and or like a Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby or what, like just how. So sometimes it's nice to have the whole story told before you make the biopic.
Good idea.
And speaking of people who lived some kind of lives, my number 3 certainly has had had some ups and downs in his personal life. Brody, I honestly thought you were talking about my number 3 when you're talking about yours, because this has been in like developmental hell since like the 2010s, when Martin Scorsese first said he wanted to do it, but he's had trouble with the estate. And you got to tell a music biopic through the music. You got to have the rights to the music, otherwise, what are we doing here? So you can put my number 3 up. But they're still talking about this in 2026.
Hey,
doing a Sinatra biopic, and
wow,
look, the era, the mob connections, the Rat Pack. There's Kennedy. There's a lot of like really interesting historical stuff around that. But at the center, old Blue Eyes here. I think it would be kind of fun to get. Like, I know there's a Rat Pack movie that came out shortly after his death with like Ray Liotta and stuff. That is not the biopic we are looking for. We are looking for something that really kind of delves a little bit more into the man here, and we can tell a little bit more of that story. Scorsese's talked about wanting to do it where he's kind of jumping around periods of his life, and I think that would be really interesting. Getting young,
he wanted
old.
Leo DiCaprio to be it.
He wanted Leo. James Marsden in a random interview this year is like, "Hey, I'd like to be Sinatra in a biopic." So who knows if it's ever going to happen?
Oh, wow.
And who knows who's going to play old Blue Eyes? But I think the further we are removed from his passing, I think the more likely it becomes that we're going to get something. And I think it would just be really fun. This would be like a big, I think, like especially if someone like Scorsese was attached to direct it, this would just be a big deal.
Sure.
And it would,
cool.
I'm into it.
That would be a fascinating movie. Just because it would even like the music would be a big part of it, but like there's so much outside of the music as well that he was involved with.
Yeah, his life is crazy. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
Depending who you
so far, your guys are like absolutely. People are gonna make these sooner or later. Mine, nobody's gonna make it. They're like, who? The spit? No, get out of here.
I like the Dylan's like, here are 3 songs that I like. No,
all right, my number 2.
My
number 2. I was flip flopping between this being my number 2 and my number 1, and ultimately it wound up on my number 2. Charlie, this breaks your point that you just made, and that my guy is still alive. And it would be a different type of movie. It would not be, I think, like a normal type of biopic, because there's just a lot of different things that this would go through. So I have Danny Elfman. It's funny, in our pre-production meeting, Charlie was like, Brody, I'd be shocked if Danny Elfman or Oingo Boingo wasn't on your list.
No, I said that's the only one that wouldn't shock me. Everything else I'm going to be surprised by. Nirvana, surprised. Elfman, not as surprised.
Not as surprised. Not as surprised.
No, to see it.
This would just be fascinating, because going back to his high school days, when he was in this theater group and doing the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, which then it was like his high school band, that then they dropped the Mystic Knights and just went into Oingo Boingo. And ultimately, like through the 80s, kind of having this rise, where you have songs like Dead Man's Party that's just, you hear every Halloween, you have Weird Science, all these different things. And then there's like this overlap / transition in the late 80s when he starts doing movies as well. And Oingo Boingo went until like 96, and he's even come back to it. He's like played at Coachella, the past couple of years, and like he's brought people back from Oingo Boingo. Like this picture right here is from him in Coachella. He's like in his late 60s, and he's jacked and covered in tattoos. I'm like, dude. But but then he had this huge rise in movie scoring, and ultimately he stepped away from Oingo Boingo because he was starting to have like hearing issues, and so he started to focus more on that, and then ends up writing things like the Batman theme and Edward Scissorhands, and all of these themes that are so iconic. And then he's never stopped dabbling in kind of this music part. He wrote The Simpsons. That was another thing. He wrote the theme song for The Simpsons.
And Sledgehammer.
I didn't know he did Futurama and Sledgehammer.
You knew that.
But yeah, it's like, what a life this guy has lived. And it's just been like this wild ride. His friendship and partnership with Tim Burton and all of that. And somehow their wacky, like dark ideas just fit perfectly together. And he's put a lot of that into his music, whether it's the Oingo Boingo portion or the movie scoring portion and all of that. And he's stayed busy. And, like I said, he's still doing music and still showing up and doing concerts and stuff like that. And I think it would just be a fascinating story to tell of this guy's, since the 40 plus year history doing music and the highs that have come from it. And I'm sure there's been some lows and things like that, but yeah, I think it would be a really interesting watch. I think it would be really different from a lot of the biopics, because it's not like a typical kind of like start low, rise to fame, and then crash down, and then something like that. It's kind of been this like weird thing where it's kind of been riding high for a long time. And so I think it would be fascinating to watch. I would really love to see this. So
Charlie, because you got the hair and you got the body, you got to recreate this picture.
Well, it's true.
I thought you were going to ask me to star in the film, which would have been fun. But I need to get a few more tattoos before I can do this. The nice thing, Brody, about doing this one, soon would be that you could get Tim Burton to direct it. That would be kind of fun,
right? Oh my gosh! And Danny Elfman could score it.
He could score it.
There you go.
He could, and if they wanted it like old Danny Elfman in it, he could play himself, and then they could cast a young Danny Elfman to show the old parts.
They could cast a young.
Or just do it all in claymation. And either way, I'm in. Either way, this is.
Oh man, there you go. There you go.
This would be a good one. I like this.
There you go. I think maybe one day we'll get it. Maybe nobody's done it yet, but one day, someday.
Just Another Day, Brody.
All right. Just Another Day is one of my favorite songs of all time. It is.
It's a John Cicada
such
song?
a good song.
No, it's
it's an Oingo Boingo song. Just Another Day, man. Oh, so good. Go listen to it. All right, Tudong, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is, and you could go ahead and throw it up there, bro. Is I want to see the composition of the Nutcracker with Tchaikovsky. He did the ballet Sleeping Beauty, and then he was commissioned to do an opera and a ballet. He did the opera, whatever it was, and he went along with his co-writer with Sleeping Beauty, and they did the Nutcracker. I would go to the Nutcracker ballet when I was a kid, almost every single around Christmas time with my grandmother. And when I was looking at it, because I thought, well, this would be interesting. I wonder if he's, I don't know anything about Tchaikovsky or how anything about this play. But as I was reading about it, I was like, this is kind of interesting. I would see something like this. It wasn't even initially successful. It didn't do well until later. So I was looking at this, and you got this guy who's coming off of this really great ballet that he wrote, and everything was good, and it's back in the 1890. That's when Sleeping Beauty came out. And he goes into this other one, and they so much so they commissioned him for 2 at the same time. I would love to see this. This is the kind of thing that I could see. I don't know. You got Ewan McGregor or somebody like that playing Tchaikovsky. I have no idea, but I'm just saying it would be an interesting. It would be a what do they call those? It's it's a biopic, but it'd be well, anyways, it'd be set back in the 1890s. Not just historical fiction. Obviously, if it's a biopic, it's going to be historical, and there's got to be some fiction. But, I think it would be... I thought I was looking at that, and I was like, this is your classic biopic right here. And that's my number 2.
I love this, Dylan. You can't give me enough Tchaikovsky into my vein. You can inject this straight in. I know there was a 1970s, literally a 1970 movie about the life of Tchaikovsky, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, this would be just
invalid.
But hey, this is specific to this play. It's not his whole life.
Good. It's no good, and it's not really digging into the depths of Tchaikovsky. I want the real, the gritty, the nitty, the gritty. It's a fascinating life. Anyway, there was a one-man show actually playing not too far from my house not too long ago about the life of Tchaikovsky. Man,
really?
These composers, these Russian composers, had some sad lives. Oh boy,
that makes sense.
But yeah, I'm in.
I don't know. I've always loved this. Folks, I am not a big music person. I'm a movie person. So when I look at things like this, I think of songs that I really actually enjoy. And I love the Nutcracker Ballet. I always have. I'd love to see them. And when I was reading about it, I was like, this would make a cool movie. This would make a cool biopic. It's not like we haven't seen this kind of thing before. It falls into your standard thing that they would do. Period piece. That's what it is. 1890s. That's not this period. That's the last period.
Dylan, you've made my dad very happy. Yes. Yes, you have.
Cool. Thank you.
So he's like, about time Tchaikovsky got mentioned on this podcast. Dylan's number 2 died in 1893. And my number 2 was born in and my number 2 was born in 1898. So we have a little 1890s crossover here as Tchaikovsky passed and the baton was passed to all right. So look, I allowed myself one kind of more obscure person on my list. I know that it's probably a little bit more fun if you're watching this, if it's artists that you've heard of, at least in some capacity. And maybe you have, maybe you're a big jazz fan. So I wanted one jazz, kind of forgotten jazz legend, or just underrated or under talked about, discussed jazz legend. So I went with Lil Hardin, or more famously as she's known, Lil Hardin Armstrong, who was this incredible pianist, one of the only female band leaders of her era, ended up the wife of Louis Armstrong. So you get kind of like a bonus in the biopic. We get to throw Louis Armstrong in there. And Louis Armstrong, who, by the way, was just content to kind of be like a dude who played the cornet and trumpet and just kind of hanging out. And she saw all this potential in him, and she kind of ignited his career. We wouldn't have the Louis Armstrong that we know today and remember today without her. And so really, you get to tell the story of her sneaking into clubs when she was a kid, her dad showing off her prodigy skills on the piano. You get to the kind of coming of age as she's in these seedy clubs and bands, and people are underestimating her because she's a woman of color, because she's a classically trained pianist, and they're trying to play jazz, and then being blown away by her skill and her talent. Her recordings are phenomenal. You can listen to them. There's 1 or 2 video recordings you can find of her when she's in her 60s. Unfortunately, it's the only video things. She's still fire on the keys in the 60s. Nice. And literally in the 60s, 1961. But anyway, she's a phenomenal talent. But like, there's also this kind of love story. Now they ended up getting divorced as Louis was doing his tours and overseas and things in the 30s and on. But there's kind of like this sad, to bring it back around, a sad kind of ending, but like a bittersweet kind of. So Louis Armstrong died in 1971, and Lil Hardin traveled to the funeral, and she played at like a memorial for him, and she actually had a heart attack and died in 1971 at a funeral or at a memorial for Louis Armstrong. So there's kind of like this
goodness,
made for Hollywood-esque kind of ending to the story too. But anyway, just a really underrated and under-discussed, fantastic, pioneering woman of jazz, and well worth the price of admission if they ever made a flick. Be fun, and the music would be coming off Sinners. Anything? Come on, jazz is hot right now. Let's get some.
Yes.
I thought about like Crossroads. Anyway, but we don't need to talk 1920s blues and jazz, but we could. And we should.
Well, you could. We would listen.
But we won't.
Yeah. We can listen to Charlie do it because I can't do it.
I can't either.
I thought about Lonnie Johnson, fantastic jazz guitar player. Anyway, there's a lot. We'll do some honorable mentions later, but yeah, love me some.
That's a deep Ralph Macchio cut.
No, not the Ralph Macchio. No.
Ah,
no. Anyone
you remember that Crossroads? You come on. He was playing the guitar.
No. Oh gosh, it was so bad. Oh man.
All right, and now the number one biopics that we think. Now, this one I think is my number one because this band has survived the test of time and is still touring and have been around for a long time, have been through some crap, and they're still going. Charlie, do you have any guesses? I see you thinking.
I don't. I'm trying to think of the band that you went to go see in Fresno, and I it's not Red. I don't know. There's like a band that you really. Anyway, who is it?
Those sirens are on our end, by the way. Hey, if you've made it this far, we would love it if you liked and subscribed. Hit that notification bell.
You got me again.
Come back and hang out with us some more because we like doing these, and we would really like for you to come and join us again. So now,
Starfield or something. Star something.
Oh, Starset. I love Starset. They're one of my favorite bands of all time, but I didn't see them in Fresno. I saw them in Sacramento.
Well, excuse me.
It's the same thing. People who live in Sacramento and Fresno, I am not saying, I am not actually talking about the real places. I'm talking about what Rudy knows about them.
I knew Sacramento. I don't know why I said Fresno.
Sacramento, they're the same.
Maybe one day we'll get a Starset biopic, but they need to go a little bit further. No, these guys have been around the block, and that is Metallica.
Metallica,
starting as these young kids doing this thrash metal underground stuff. They become one of the biggest metal bands of the world, really have a huge impact on kind of all of metal, right? They've been through stuff. They had Cliff Burton's death in '86, their bassist in a bus accident. They had to make their way through that. They've had different times where like the Black Album came out and there was kind of like, oh, is the band kind of evolving, or are they selling out? They've dealt with a lot of that. There was the whole Napster thing where all of a sudden Metallica became like the authority figure, kind of defending like the music industry. You have like this hard rock band, going to court, to shut down Napster and stuff. There is so much, and they have been through so much, and they have really endured, and they have a really fascinating story because they've been around for so long, and they're still going. Like, they're still touring. They were just here in Reno like not too long ago, and I looked up tickets, and they were like $1,000 a ticket, and I was like, well, maybe not that, but it's just there's so much to tell, right? And it would, like, there's too much to tell in a movie. They would need to either go really fast, or they would just need to focus on certain points.
See, focus on a certain point.
Yeah. But I think it's really fascinating that this metal band has endured as long as they have, and I think that that's really a credit to them in how they have evolved as a band and evolved in their music, while still playing the hits. They're still playing Enter Sandman and all that. So I think it would be a really neat exploration of them as a band and them evolving through the times and just going through crap. They've been through it, like addictions and stuff like that. They've done it all. So it's death and drugs and fame. And
if you had to pick
battles,
one section of their life, which part would it be, bro? The beginning, the middle, end, a certain song, a certain concert, a certain tour?
I mean, maybe like the early stages, just the formation. They were kids, man. Go and look at pictures of these guys when they were starting. They are like little tiny kids. They've all got this long flowing hair. It's so funny to see that they're like these old men now. But yeah, it could be a movie over like any part of them. So
give me the early 80s into mid 80s, that club scene. You got Dave Mustaine from Megadeth in the band for a few years before he's unceremoniously kicked out and he forms Megadeth. You have the tragedy. Give me an 80s Metallica biopic. Yes, please.
Right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, even just the 80s, and yet they endured through the 90s and through the 2000s and the 2010s, and still going in the 2020s. It's really fascinating, and so that's why they ultimately ended up on my number one, because I think that it is such a impressive span as a band that they could really pull from any parts of their career. God, you could make like a Metallica trilogy, I mean, I'm not saying they should, but they could. There's enough content there that they could. So there you go. There's my number one, Metallica.
Nice.
Too long. Nice. What's your number one? Better be good, or else you're off the podcast.
Well, my number one. It's interesting. My number one, he was born in 1932. But if we were to go through his if you couldn't do an entire span of his career because there's just too many greats. So I wanted to encapsulate it because, again, this was one of my favorite pieces. So I thought I'd like to see, go ahead and throw it up, bro. I want to see from the point of view of John Williams. Go ahead and throw it up. As he made Duel of the Fates. I would love to see you see him, he's doing his thing, any kind of a thing. I'd love to see it from his perspective. He's sitting there, Star Wars, picture, 1999. The fans are frothing at the mouth. We haven't had any Star Wars for a year, like a decade or so, and nothing has ever come out. Everybody's like, what, episode 1? Finally? And you've got John Williams from his perspective. I'd love to see it from his perspective as he's sitting there and he's starting to do it. You got Ewan McGregor, you got Ray Park walking by, and maybe even George Lucas. He hears it and he's like, I hate it, because he's got terrible taste. He's just terrible all around. But then he has to read Ray. I have no idea how it actually went down. I'm just kind of speculating. He could have come in and just been like, boom, here it is, and everybody loves it because that's just who he is. There's almost no way you could. I'm surprised we don't have a biopic on John Williams as it is. The man's a legend, and this is easily one of my favorite pieces of music, almost just about of all time. But of all of the other things, he was there. He did Superman. He did Superman. He did Star Wars. He did, Indiana Jones. He's done so many different things, but I'd love to just see it from his perspective. Somebody playing John Williams. Is it going to be fictionalized? Yeah, it's biopic. I mean, equals fiction. It's not documentary. But I'd love to see that. I'd love to see if the guys, if they were sparring with, or they were practicing, they were doing fight call, and they were like, hey, throw that one on again. Like, yeah, we liked that one. Duel of the Fates. That's good. Maybe they did. Maybe he didn't even make it maybe he didn't even create that piece until after they did all of that stuff. I have no idea, but I'd love to see a biopic from his perspective of this or almost any other thing he actually wrote. But I'd love to see a perspective of his from the Duel of the Fates, because again, easily one of my favorite pieces of music. Yeah, genius, a legend.
I don't know if you could make a biopic about his life. Because...
I didn't say his life. I never said his life. I said him coming up with this. It wouldn't be accurate at all. It'd be crazy. It'd be weird. It'd be crazy. If it was me, I'd have all these. I'd have Liam Neeson coming in, just like, I've got a certain percentage of skills, and they're like, I can't hear a word. I don't know what you're saying. It's before you became Sue. It's before Taken, sir. We don't even know who you are. But I don't care. I want to see. I'd love to just see. You see behind the scenes. If you ever. Okay, this is just me. But when this came out, you actually see him conducting it. You see parts of the movie. While that piece is playing, and I thought I could watch this all freaking day. Turn it back on or watch it. I would exercise to this freaking thing. I love this piece of music, and I'd love to just see it from his perspective, to see what he thought of the insanity and ridiculous of George Lucas at this point of his life. How they were making this movie, how nothing actually was really, nobody was interacting with anything. This is where they started off, where it was all CGI. They were like, I'm talking to a floating tennis ball right now. However it is, I'd just like to see that from his perspective. That's all. Just this one piece.
And I'm saying that I think it's a really good idea to have a movie about him composing Duel of Fates. Partly because it would be,
any of the ones I had were good, but
it would be hilarious.
This one was. It's my number one.
It would be hilarious if this was the first piece that he did, and he's watching it, composing it. He's like, this movie's going to be amazing, right? Like this is awesome, and then he has to do the rest of the movie.
And George Lucas is like, I hate it. I got terrible taste.
But I was saying,
I wanted Indiana Jones in a freaking haunted house for some reason. What do you mean archaeology? I don't know my characters.
I think having the focus on just this is a good idea, because I don't think you could do something about his life, because it's like everything that he does is amazing. So it's like, all right, John, we got this movie. All right, he does it. Banger, All right, we got Star Wars. All right, Star Wars, like, one of the most iconic scores of all time. Jaws, iconic score. Oh, yeah, Indiana Jones, iconic score. It's like everything that he touches is like gold. It's like banger after banger,
But this one especially,
like, he's still going.
This was nuts. At this point, at this time, like, he had done all this other stuff, but I mean, this one, people were like, I don't even know what it was. It was explosive. People were nuts when it came to this kind of thing. It cooled down after they saw it, and they were like, oh. But I mean, like, geez, coming off of like Return of the Jedi, and then coming back to this, and you see little clips of it, and you hear it, and you're like, these guys there's a couple of, they just ignited their lightsabers. What? That's a young Kenobi right there. What the hey is happening? He's fighting a Sith. I just, people were nuts at the time, and I just think it because of all of those put together, it would just be really interesting, at least as far as I'm concerned.
All right, two quick little interjections. One, if you are a fan of John Williams and his music, you should watch Music by John Williams, which is a biography / documentary that is on Disney Plus. They made it in 2024. Steven Spielberg directed it. Great watch. So, if you're just into John Williams. As you're talking, Dylan, all I can picture is like an Office-esque style, like, Spinal Tap-ish documentary where they like cutaways, like in like Lucas is some kind of like Steve Carell type character running around, and he's like, all right, I remember this language.
He's like,
and he's just, and John Williams is just kind of staring at him, and then he's like, then he's Kurada, he's directing the, and they're like, oh, did you ever think about doing a theme for Jar Jar Binks? And he's like, no.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
You do themes for all your characters in the Star Wars universe. Did you ever think about Jar Jar? No, I did not. It would just be like a funny, like little, like a mockumentary Christopher Guest style shot. That's all I can picture, and I'm all the way in. That would be hilarious. Just a crazy George Lucas and just John Williams playing the straight man who's like, what am I doing?
Exactly.
Charlie, is your dad happier to see Tchaikovsky or John Williams on this list?
You know what? He loves it's Star Wars. We're in May the 4th. My dad sent me a May the 4th text May the Fourth be with you. So he loves himself some Star Wars and John Williams. He is like the film. He literally writes books about film composition stuff. So he would be thrilled about the John Williams. He would not be thrilled with your pronunciation of Tchaikovsky, but he would be thrilled that we're trying.
What did I say? Me or Dylan?
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
He's like both of you, actually.
It's my number,
You're both
my
terrible
number one.
at saying his name.
You got to use the original.
I'll be better at saying his name after I watch the biopic. Come on. I've seen
Was
it
it me?
down.
What
Doesn't mean
did I say?
You did great. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
You
were
said
great.
like Tchaikovsky. You added letters, bro. It's okay.
You made it sound British.
He added letters.
Right.
He added letters. He's British?
No. Brody's British.
I thought John Williams was British. He actually was born in New York.
No. He looks British because he's fancy. That's it.
The bow tie.
There's no other reason. He looks like he would say hello, Harry Potter. He's got like his wizard wand there.
He looks very proper. Yeah.
Welcome to Jurassic
like
Park.
Dumbledore got a shave and a haircut.
He's always had like that super manicured mustache, man.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, I know everyone's here to hear our manscaping John Williams ticks. Let's get my number one out of the way. So look, for my number one, I wanted to do something that I just think would be, I don't know, someone that I really care about and that really was a big influence on me musically, but that I also think would be interesting to a lot of other people. And what an incredible life, what an incredible musician, what an incredible man. And my number one, I would love to see a Prince documentary. Just one of the most incredibly talented musicians that has ever graced this earth, multi-instrumentalist, a phenomenal songwriter, producer, an incredible life full of like a lot of different interesting stories, a lot of pockets that you could pull from. I would love to hear more about his early life. Just a man who had a passion for his hometown and Minnesota and for propping up other people and boosting their careers along the way. Struggles and battles with record labels and Prince, an artist formerly known as Prince. And you know, he signed his first record label at 18. I mean, just like a really interesting life for a really interesting icon. And you know, he was the star of the Purple Rain film, which he wasn't playing Prince, but he was playing Prince.
It is said that he is a phenomenal basketball player. Also,
he's just
Charlie Murphy is.
I have no problem believing
like,
he's great at everything he's ever done. But just like really like honestly, just an incredible guitarist, like one of my favorite guitarists of all time. But there's just so much about him that like when you just hear some of like Prince songs or you casually think of Prince, that just gets lost or is missing from the conversation. And people,
one of your favorite songs is his.
Oh man, don't. Just
When Doves Cry,
top of your head,
of course.
When Doves Cry is good. I like Most Beautiful Girl in the World.
I don't have favorite songs about
Dance.
I have no favorite songs of any artist. It's all mood dependent. Unless I have songs that I don't like. But right now,
yeah,
gosh,
if you just had to throw one out,
yeah, in this moment.
In this moment,
Brody and I already did.
Well, we're talking
Brody
Purple
and I
Rain,
both
so we'll go with Purple Rain then. I don't know.
Nice.
The Bat Dance. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole album, man, is a banger. That whole Prince Batman Prince album, dude.
I don't know. It's a little poppy, but give me a little Red Corvette or Raspberry Beret or Kiss or
yes,
Diamonds and Pearls.
Beautiful Girl in the World.
Most Beautiful Girl in the World is fantastic, but like the fact that you could sit here and like we could talk. He wrote "You Got the Look" that Sinead O'Connor, famously sang.
Oh, yeah.
No, not you got the look. You what's the one she sang? Anyway,
Nothing Compares.
Nothing compares.
Nothing compares to you.
And then he wrote for a lot of different artists. Actually, he wrote a lot of songs that other artists made famous as well as himself. So there's just a lot people don't know about Prince, and like he's just a really like fascinating subject. This would be like a star-making role for a young actor too. This would be like a really fun.
Oh yeah.
Just a neat story to tell, but also just like I don't know, through the lens of the music. Be a great stage play.
Or
honestly.
Timothée Chalamet, either one.
Oh god, get Timothée Chalamet out of here. No offense to the Chalamet hive, but we will not be even in jest entertaining the idea of Chalamet coming anywhere near this film or any of the films on my list. No, thank you, Mr. Chalamet. Off you go.
He could play Danny Elfman.
No, we could not.
No, we could not. What are you thinking?
You cast him in your movie and it's doomed right from the start.
Dune right from the start.
This is a good pick. This
Good.
was one that I thought about, Charlie. I thought about this one.
Yeah.
And obviously didn't end up putting it, but
yeah. But if you had to like pin me in, give me early career, like his signing the label at 18 up to like Purple Rain. Give me that stuff, because that's that's the stuff I know the least about. I just what I've read. I'd love to get some people digging into that more and getting to hear more of that.
I like the whole symbol as a name thing was like huge, man. Back like late 90s, because that was what, like the record label owned his name or something like that, and he wanted out, so he something like that. But yeah, he just became a symbol, and it was wild.
All the way up to his great cameo on the TV show New Girl. So
what? Really?
Great.
Or Danny Elfman's wonderful cameo in the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield and a young Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
This is a really good pick. Do you guys have any honorable mentions that you that didn't quite make it on your list? I know I have a couple.
Yeah. If you're in the mood to dig into like old jazz guitar, get yourself some like the story of Lonnie Johnson, who was like a really prominent guitarist of his era, kind of often credited with like inventing like the guitar solo, like individually plucked notes with like vibrato and bend, but really pioneered that, and then was like a huge deal, and then was like tracked down by someone who was like trying to find old jazz legends in like 1959. He was like a janitor, and like then he got about another decade of like fame in the 60s with like a revival of like jazz blues. I think that'd be really fun. Like not parts of it would be fun, parts of it would be sad. Story, from like that same era, you get like kind of like the godfather of jazz guitar, Eddie Lang, who was kind of credited with like really popularizing the genre, but then he died like in like getting like a tonsillectomy in like his early 30s. Really horrible like way to I don't know. I don't know how that's even possible, but like that's how he died. Give me Robert Johnson biopic. He's a guitarist who went down to Crossroads and sell his soul to the devil to be really good at guitar. He also died very young. But I think there's one of those in the works right now. I thought about like Elliott Smith. There's a Jeff Buckley. There's some really sad ones. Janis Joplin's never had a biopic, even though she famously almost had 2 biopics in the 30 Rock television show, but they couldn't get the music, so it was Janis Joplin. They didn't have the rights.
You gotta have the rights.
Gotta have the rights. There's a David Bowie biopic without any David Bowie music because they did not have the rights from the estate.
Oh my gosh.
How do you do that? Give me a David Bowie biopic with David Bowie music.
Actually, a David Bowie biopic would be really fascinating.
Yeah, if you can get the music in there. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I thought that was already in the works. I didn't even come close to that. That briefly, and Prince as well. I was like, they've got to have something in the works.
What do you got, bro? What were your
I'm really surprised that Prince doesn't have anything. I initially was thinking about Kiss. I think Kiss would be a really fascinating one. That one, I guess, is in development though, and being directed by Mick G of all people. And yeah, is supposed to start development like this year. So I was like, well, I guess
good luck. Good luck.
I actually thought Daft Punk would be a really interesting one. Just the idea of like house music in France and them getting so famous without being famous, because it's really like their masks that are famous, and kind of them being able to live, and do their work, but still behind these masks that are famous. Ultimately, I'm not sure how much of a movie there is, because do you show their faces? Do you not show their faces? Like how? I was like, I don't know. So
they did a cutaway. It wasn't actually them, but there was a cutaway with them in Family Guy. Like, I didn't know we were German until just the second when I spoke. I'm like, that's great. We don't know anything about these guys.
I mean, their score of Tron Legacy is like so good. It's a banger, dude. I really like that one. And then my last one I thought about, but I was like, I don't know how much story is Smashing Pumpkins, just because I love the Smashing Pumpkins, and they're another one that's just been around for a long time.
Yeah,
been through a bunch of stuff. And
they're like
really
an angry band, aren't they? Like, isn't the lead singer? Isn't he like a surprisingly angry person, just like the lead singer of Kiss? Like lead singer of Kiss, I forget his name.
Is Billy Corgan really angry? I don't think he is.
He's a very confident man, and he talks. He's got his own podcast. He talks a lot of music stuff on there, and he interviews a lot of like musical guests.
Yeah, he also like runs the NWA, which is fascinating to me. The National Wrestling Alliance. He's like the president of the NWA.
Like not like he doesn't run NWA.
No, he's like he's a huge wrestling guy, and so that would just be fascinating to me.
There it is. But everyone on Brody's list has a wrestling connection. You just have to dig for it deep enough.
Do they?
They do.
Metallica, probably. I'm sure somebody used their. Sandman used it in ECW.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Danny Elfman.
I'm sure a Foo Fighters song has been used in wrestling. Come on, which is tangentially related to Nirvana.
Well, a version of Teen Spirit was used for DDP back in.
There you go.
WCW. It was kind of a knockoff version. I don't think Danny Elfman's done anything with wrestling though. So
he was a cameo. He cameoed as himself, bro. Didn't you see that physique?
Oh, I missed
tats.
Missed it.
Bro.
But Danny Elfman was on the Billy Corgan podcast, so there's that connection. At least.
Do you know what happens when you type in Danny Elfman wrestling into a search engine? If you Bing
I don't know what happens.
The movie Nacho Libre pops up.
Yes.
That is the.
Yes.
Did he have something to do with Nacho Libre?
I don't know. It's what pops up.
No idea.
How weird!
It's the top result.
Perfect.
I don't think he did the music for Nacho Libre.
The music is by Danny Elfman for Nacho Libre. There you go.
Is it really? My goodness!
Look at us. We're learning about the artists we love tonight.
Dude, Nacho Libre, man. Talk about a phenomenal movie. Golly.
See, everyone's related to wrestling.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know I did it, but I did it. So
the subconscious took over and take the wheel, wrestling. Take the wheel.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was fun. It's a little change of pace for us. Be able to talk about some music and some other stuff that we think we would be fun to see. But yeah, Charlie, you want to wrap this one up for us?
There's so many wonderful musical artists out there, and whether or not you want a biopic made, let us know who you like to listen to. We don't get to talk music as often as I would like on this podcast, so hit us up with some of your favorite artists, or if you want to tell us the biopics that you're dying to see of some musicians, let us know, because they would give us an excuse to talk more music in the comments. Let's do it, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Like and subscribe. Compliment Brody's beard. He's thinking of shaving it.
Am I? No, I'm not.